It's Will Chow here, and you know that I'm all about putting the science back into personal development, and I'm going to do that today by showing you scientifically that hard work is one of the top proven distinguishable factors through actual peer-reviewed scientific research in terms of making more money and achieving success in terms of your wealth and resources in life. Not necessarily happiness, that's a topic on for another day, but in terms of just making more money, in terms of many other factors studied, science has actually proved this. So I have this great book here called The Evolution of Desire by Dr. David M. Buss. And he actually covers this topic through one of his studies that he did on the factors of success towards achievement. And I think this is one of many different studies out there that have touched on this topic. Another would be Angela Duckworth's work on studying grit and how perseverance plays a role in achieving success as well. And I think this video is very important because since the dawn of time, or at least since the industrial age started, there's been all this hype and success advice out there, top 10 rules of success, and it's all just kind of anecdotal, based off success stories, littered with confirmation bias and just, people cherry picking these few experiences that they had and putting them together and claiming these are the top 10 steps to success. And hard work makes the list oftentimes. Work harder, hustle. People like Gary Vaynerchuk, that's all they talk about. But is this actually true from a peer-reviewed, cross-sectional scientific study, non-biased, controlled, experimental standpoint? And I think that's what really matters. The hard evidence, not some of this bullshit that people throw out there. So, by the way, I love watching videos like that, Will Smith's success videos about how he will outwork anyone. I think they're really inspirational, and of course I use them, but there's always that bit of doubt when you're bombarded with hundreds of different factors for success. Oh, you gotta work harder, you have to give more, you gotta go to more networking events. Networking's the key. Oh no, it's email marketing. Oh no, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's meditation, and then all these fads, and then you're like, what the heck am I doing? I'm doing a cold shower and meditating at the same time. I have these apps, I'm doing all this crap, and I'm not seeing any progress. So let's get to the work. Let's hit this scientific study on its head. So here's the study. I'm going to read some of this verbatim, just so you know that I'm not lying about this. However, if you want to check out this book at your library, or just go on to PubMed or Google Scholar and do a little bit of your own digging, that works as well. Okay, let's get down to it. So it's a slightly long paragraph, so bear with me here. Lisa, Kyle, Heku, and I conducted a study of getting ahead in everyday life. Our goals was to identify the tactics that people use to elevate their position within hierarchies in the workplace and in social settings. We asked 84 individuals from California and Michigan to think about people whom they knew well, then to write down the acts they had observed these people use to get ahead in status or dominance hierarchies. Using various statistical procedures, we discovered 26 distinct tactics, including deception, social networking, sexual favors, education, and industriousness. That's the scientific term for hard work. They do this a lot. They'll use well-being instead of the word happiness, but just realize that industriousness means hard work. There's a lot of these terms, like conscientiousness is one of these key things. You're like, what the heck is that? But it turns out conscientiousness is actually just, kindness and, caring about the other person, and that actually matters a lot in terms of male dating, female dating as well, but more male dating and salesmanship. But that's a topic for another day. Let's get back to this. The industriousness tactic included actions such as putting in extra time and effort at work, managing time efficiently, prioritizing goals, and working hard to impress others. So this is industriousness in this case actually covers much more than just working more and longer than other people, but working smarter and using productivity tactics, something I cover extensively on my YouTube videos and blogs. We then asked 212 individuals who were in their middle to late 20s to indicate which tactic they used to get ahead. Here's where it gets interesting. Separately, we asked their spouses to indicate which tactics their partners used to get ahead. So this is also starting to, you can tell this study is not only referencing who actually makes the most money, but which of these traits actually got their partners to want to go on dates with them and eventually say yes to a proposal and marriage. Next, we correlated this information with their past income and promotions and with their anticipated income and promotions to see which tactics for getting ahead were most successfully linked with actual measures of getting ahead. Well done, Dr. David N. Buss. I think the only real glaring flaw with this is the sample size. It is kind of small, 212 people. I wish you would do this again in the future with larger, but I know how budgetary constraints really do affect this. I think probably the next best thing would be Brendon Burchard's book. He has a book called High Performance Habits, and he did something very similar to this, but he had like this massive social media audience and email list, like 500,000 people, if not more, and he had a larger sample size. It wasn't as scientific, but it was fairly scientific. So I did a video on that too. Details are in his book. Now, here's the most interesting part. Here's what they found. Among all the tactics, sheer hard work proved to be one of the best predictors of past and anticipated income and promotions. Think that through for a second. Before I go into more depth about what he says here, think that through here. Amongst all the diverse tactics and factors that a human can use to get ahead. I mean, there's uncontrollable factors too. There's talent. There's sheer talent and genetic gifts here. Maybe you're a talented singer. You're a more effective writer naturally than other people. And I do think in extreme scenarios, and the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is one of a few books that cover this really well. In extreme situations, like the Olympics, or the CrossFit Games, or becoming a gymnast or professional piano player, it does matter. Your genetics also matter. They're prerequisites. You have to have like optimal genetics, and then hard work layers in. But there are definitely plenty of situations. Acting is one. Will Smith kind of proved that with acting, where genetics don't play as much of a role. So genes and stuff that you can't control do matter, because if you don't have the right lever lengths and the right height ratios, where if you're doing something like horse jockeying or a CrossFit, you're just not going to be able to do the clean and jerk movements, the deadlift movements, ride the horse most efficiently, and you're just out of luck even if you work hard. But that in outlier type situations, everything has to line up. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they also are great examples of this. However, he proves that in general, hard work is incredibly effective. It says, those who said that they worked hard and whose spouses agreed that they worked hard achieved higher levels of education, higher annual salaries, and anticipated greater salaries and promotion than those who failed to work hard. Industrious and ambitious men secure a higher occupational status than lazy, unmotivated men do. Now, they did a similar study this time, and I'm paraphrasing here. Basically, they said in the 1950s, for example, 5,000 undergraduates were asked to list characteristics they desired in a potential mate. Women, far more often than men, desire mates who enjoy their work, show career orientation, demonstrate industriousness, and display ambition. 852 single American women and 100 married American women in the international study on choosing a mate unanimously rate ambition and industriousness as important or indispensable. Now, I could go on and just read this verbatim to you all day, but let's just summarize here and be honest here. So first and foremost, I hate it when people come to make YouTube videos and they act like they read the whole book. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't read this whole book. I read these specific sections that were interesting to me. The whole book is kind of boring. So that's a example to you that you don't have to read the whole book to get something out of a book and get useful information that you can apply to your life. So keep that in mind. I think it's incredibly important to do something like this, especially when when it seems like people my age are slowly declining and reading books less. I went to a conference event, and one of the speakers there had like several millions of subscribers, and I got to talk to him for a short while, and he reviewed my YouTube channel, and he told me straight up that he tried to do a YouTube video on books, and it was one of the least viewed videos on his channel because people read books less. So this is also an incentive to get you to read more books, but more than that, I think the info in this is going to be most important. So even in the 50s, which was back in the day when stuff like following your passion wasn't a thing. This was when, you know your parents and grandparents. This was the time when it was just about sucking it up and making money. And it doesn't matter if you like the job or not. And that's a common theme that parents will tell their young ones, or at least that's how they live their lives. So we live in a new age when following your passion is more accepted and this new idea. And yet even back in the day, in the 50s, this study reveals that people care, women care more and desire men who enjoy their work. So this gets very interesting. The book also covers more about industriousness and how it relates, and they even break it down into different categories. And it turns out sometimes will vary depending on if you're looking for casual sex or you're looking for a more long-term relationship, marriage, or boyfriend or girlfriend. Here it says, women in the study of temporary and permanent mating regarding men who lack ambition as extremely undesirable, whereas men view the lack of ambition in wife as neither desirable nor undesirable. Women are likely to discontinue a long-term relationship with a man if he loses his job, lacks career goals, or shows a lazy streak. Now, what I just read there might make you think that, okay, if you're a woman, I don't have to have ambition or want to succeed. And I think, although cross-sectionally and genetically on the higher stream, that's kind of what his study is implying, that okay, it matters for men, it doesn't for women. You have to realize that indirectly it may still matter. Now this is an area that I don't think Dr. David Buss accounted for and controlled for as a factor in his study, but think about it like from this angle. If you work really hard, maybe indirectly your man or your potential man doesn't care about that. I personally do, but men in general may not care about that. But you will make more money and you will be higher status so that you can get a personal trainer, look more fit, have more free time to do what you like doing, have a more interesting life and share that with your spouse. Better be able to provide for your child. There's countless examples of celebrity females who aren't necessarily the most good looking if you just look at them point blank, but their status and their wealth kind of accentuate that. Taylor Swift is a great example. In general, she's like, in my opinion, just like an average, slightly above average looking girl, but all that other stuff around her really accentuates her. So just keep that in mind. There's a bunch of other proxy factors that men do care about. How good of a mother are you? How empathetic are you with your children? How funny, kind, and all these other things. So don't take this verbatim. Keep in mind the small sample size, and check out this book. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. More than I can cover in a short YouTube video. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you like this video. This is more of an experimental thing I'm doing where I'm more so looking at scientific studies. See you guys in the next video. Peace.